Hey everybody, what's up? As always, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Midwest to Gotham. As you can see, I've brought Sylvia back on the show. I want to continue my interview I had with her on healthcare. If you remember, I did some footage a couple months ago, which I posted about a month ago, about Sylvia's experience in the healthcare industry. She had a lot to say. I actually had to cut the video short because I was not filming from home. So timing was an issue, and I don't want to make these too long because I want you to be able to take the information with you. Everyone doesn't have an hour to sit and watch a video. But I was able to reschedule Sylvia, and she made some time out of her busy schedule. As you can tell, she's had another healthcare injury, which is what happens when you suffer from sickness. Just the act of being sick can weaken you and allow other illnesses to creep into your life. So you got to be very careful and protect yourself when you're in that position, which Sylvia is in. But I am glad that she was able to take a little time. It's a good day for her, so she's able to come back on the show. And we're going to go ahead and pick this up. You can please feel free to go back and look at the other video if you need a recap. But just real quick, I want to go back over a couple things that we had talked about. We talked about some of her core healthcare issues, which very briefly, what are your core healthcare issues?
Well, the core health care issues, I suffer from lupus, so that has a lot of backdraft. A few years back, in 2013, I had a problem with my leg. I had a knee replacement during the surgery, or sometime right after the surgery. I ended up with a MRSA staph infection, which caused a lot of other problems. It affected my kidneys, my knees, my heart, my blood count. It's just overall one thing after another. It was an infection that broke my fourth and fifth vertebrae in my back, so I had a lot to overcome.
Thank you. We also discussed briefly the difference between having healthcare provided by an employer and healthcare provided that you have to provide for yourself. And she went back and forth with someone who had experienced both sides of that fence on the differences and how that affects people. We're not going to go over that again. Please go back and look at the video if you want to check that out. I'm just trying to get people back up to speed because it's been a while. And we talked a little bit about the insurance she currently has, which is self-provided insurance, Medicare. And she walked us through the challenging of that, and that's pretty much where we ended. So we're going to go ahead and pick this back up, and we're going to start here. So with the insurance that you have and the circumstances you're in, why don't you walk us through a typical day dealing with a doctor? Like you have a doctor's appointment today for, you can pick one of your ailments, and why don't you walk us through what you go through on Medicare?
Okay, well, a typical experience on Medicare is when I go to the doctor's office. First of all, you have to see a specialist for everything. So your primary care is going to send you to a specialist, and they're going to call over and see if they accept this type of Medicare. If they do, it's $45 before they will even see you for the co-payment. So when I pay the $45, if I need an MRI, like today I need an MRI on my arm, they have to call and see if the imaging people will take this type of Medicare. If they do, then they'll send me over, and I have to go over there and pay $75 for a copay to get the MRI. So, I mean, it's just a waiting game. You wait, you go one place, he sends you somewhere else, and hopefully everywhere you go, they accept your insurance. If they don't, you're out of luck. They're like, we'll call you back, go home and wait for us to come back. Call you and let's see if we take it. So basically, you never know, if you're sick, it's a tiring process. It is, but you do what you have to do if you need to be seen.
Sure. I want to counterpoint that issue. She explained her experience. I want to talk about my own experience briefly just to counterbalance that. I have insurance, and I suffer from very little healthcare issues. So there are different tiers of healthcare that you can purchase from my employer. I am on the lowest tier of coverage, which means that I pay the least out of pocket, but my benefits are worse. You could pay a lot more and have almost full coverage, or I pay the least that I could because I don't go to the doctor very often. So for me, I go to the doctor, I pay $20. I got $20 copay. I go to my primary guy. He checks me out. He normally sends me to CVS where I get my medicine, and I pay about $4. I have some arthritis in my knee. I go there. I get a big jar of pills. It's $3. And I see one guy. I can do it on my lunch break. If I have to go do something else, he refers me to a specialist, which is normally in the same town, often in the next building over. I pay another $20. I do what I have to do there, and then I go back to work. And that's the difference between when you have proper insurance from a provider and Medicare, which is I don't know if you heard her on the micro. She didn't have the microphone, but I'm gonna let that go. So we're gonna go ahead and just keep going because I want to get all the important points in today. Okay, here's one. Why don't you tell us what is the biggest hurdle you have faced when dealing with healthcare? I know you have a lot. Just what are the? I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna let you do it your way.
Okay, well, my largest hurdle with my battle is getting to see someone who can get to the bottom of my issue without sending me in circles. Because, I mean, realistically, they can't do anything about it. And no one wants to be responsible for what the last doctor did. They're like, why don't you go back to him? Because he's no longer in this provider circle, and I have to come to you. And they're like, well, what do you think your issue is? What did they tell you? What have you been on? You know, they go through the whole. Basically, I feel like that I'm medically treating myself, because people are too scared with a high-risk patient like me that they're going to get sued. And I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to sue anyone. I just want to stay alive. If you could just tell me, you know, I go in, and I'm like, this is what I take, this, and that. They write it down. They're like, here, go to your pharmacy and take those. But when I get over there, it's like $300-400 easily. I'm like, and then, you know, it doesn't work. You know, then they're like, well, try this. That's another $100. I'm like, I can't keep going back to the pharmacy. I just need some help. And that's my biggest hurdle, getting some help that's helpful. Because all the best doctors, you know, all the high recommended doctors, they don't take Medicare, so you can't go to them.
So, I didn't know, so Medicare, there are some providers that don't take Medicare. I thought Medicare was, if you're on a Medicare program, that was insurance that would go to any provider. So some of your doctors don't take Medicare?
Right. Well, see, this is how they get around the system. They don't have to take any insurance they don't want to. If they take Medicare gives, you know, they agree that they're going to take a loss. You know, they'll take a loss for so many dollars, and Medicare will pay so many dollars. So the benefit, you know, they're taking a loss. And most of them are like, why should I take the loss? You know, so most of the people that take Medicare are going to be the ones training the students, like the doctors in internships. You know, they bring the students in. Almost everyone I see is a student with a doctor overlooking him. I'm like, dude, my situation is serious. This is my life. I don't want to see the student. They don't know what they're doing. Obviously, you're training them. You're telling them, well, do this and do that, which causes me extra pain. I mean, that's frustrating, but what are you going to say? Because you do that or nothing. And the thing is, you have to know which Medicare program to go to. Those that have been on Medicare for a while, they know, hey, take this, do this, do not fool with these people. But there's no counselor, there's no one to tell you how to finagle the system. You just have to work it as you go. So if I make a mistake with my Medicare choice this year, the next year I'll know to do something better.
So let's just say I was involved in a medical issue, and I don't even use my own insurance, much less another provider. So if I was in a circumstance, as you said in the other video, that you shouldn't count you always need to count your blessings, because just because you are one way doesn't mean you're your life can't change. Like you told me how you started off working, have worked most of your life, and now you're in this position. So let's just say I was put on Medicare. There's not a center I go to. You just have to, you just get thrown into the deep end and you just figure it out, or?
That's what happens. When I got Medicare, I went down to Social Security Disability. I took a number. They came up. They're like, okay, you call this number and order a packet. They mail you out a packet you fill out for the disability. And then if you get approved for disability, then after a certain amount of time, you can get Medicare. And Medicare sends you a packet to fill out. And they're like, these are your choices. We have several choices. Choose who you want. They send you a big, thick book. Like, look in here and choose what doctor you want to go to. So, of course, I went to see my primary care physician when I had insurance was in there. So I chose him. But his hands are tied when he gets ready to send me out to a specialist. So, I mean, before when I had insurance, he would send me to the Top Shelf Medical. You know, if I could see Top Shelf, everybody knows the best. The choices that he has now, those are not the people that he would recommend me go to. But he's like, well, we don't have any choice. We can try them, and hopefully they can do this. So, I mean, you don't know how to, you don't know, well, do Blue Cross Blue Shields. That sounds like a popular company, so maybe I'll go to Blue Cross. But when you start looking at it, you have to be able to read through the book, and it's not all in the same place. What type of insurance, what you're covered for. You need to look in another part of the book on the prescriptions to see if this plan covers those prescriptions and what the price is. Then there's another part of the book for this is a hospital you can go to and they cover this, and this service. I mean, it's a lot. You're going back and forth, so much so that I went back to disability. I said, can I get a caseworker? Someone to tell me how to work this system because this is confusing, this book. They're like, oh, no, we don't have caseworkers. You just have to read through the book and do this. I'm like, okay, I'm already on some strong medications, morphine, oxycodone. These are things that fog your brain up. Right. So how am I supposed to take this big book and look through here and find this? And even those that are not on medication, my daughter sat down with me, my mother sat down with me, and even they were like, this is complicated. Why are they doing that? It's almost like it's intentional that you can't figure out. In fact, I just went to the doctor with my sister last week, and I was talking to the lady that was the secretary. Her husband was the doctor in there. And she was like, oh, and me and her just got to talking while he was seeing my sister. And she said, well, who do you have? And I told her, she was like, oh, no, because she does all the medical approving and billing for their patients. And so she was like, oh, no, that's the worst one ever. She said, now she's the doctor's wife, and I guess she has Medicare because she's over 65. And she said, I don't pay any co-pays, and I paid the lowest prescription plans. And I'm like, what plan are you on? But she didn't have time to show me because she's running a medical office. But she said they didn't tell me anything. Just doing this billing helped me decide which, I know who turns down what and I put them all. She pieced them all together. But what about those of us who are not married to the doctor, who are, not doing the insurance paperwork and dealing with these companies and know who does what and where? How do you know? They're like, well, it's in the book. You mean on the 4,000 page book? Right. What page is it on? And how do I know who goes for what, and how do you piece that together? I mean, that's why they have whole insurance companies to do that. So you should get a caseworker.
Well, I would say, like I said, just because I want to play devil's advocate to let people know the differences. When I do my insurance every year, we get this big white thick packet, which I have never opened. I don't open it. I used to save them, but then I was like, I don't know what's in there, so I started shredding them.
Right. And
when I pull up my insurance online every year when we do our benefits, I basically have A or B, which is a simple plan or you pay more plan. I don't have to decipher the information. I don't have to read through it. If I had to, I would be absolutely screwed because I have no idea what that stuff means. But I know it comes down to a choice of whether here or this, one A or B. And then I ask coworkers, which one would you pick? And we normally all just get together. But even with workplace-based insurance, there's no way that I could decipher that packet. So I can't imagine, and we have a team we can call, an HR number. I couldn't imagine have to filter that through on my own, and I'm filling it out because I have to get coverage today. I am effed up today. I have to get to the doctor. They won't see me until I fill this out, and I don't know what I'm doing. It just seems like a horrifying experience.
It is. It's saddening, and it's scary when you're sick and you don't know what's going on, and but you know that you need to see a doctor. Your life depends on it, and you only have a certain amount of time to choose. So you're like, okay, I turn to the back. I know I need these medications, and they take this. You know, you can't, they don't have the prices on there. I mean, the people at the pharmacy told me how much. They were like, oh, well, that's a bad insurance because you have to pay $100 out of pocket for 6 months. And then, you know, go down to 50% off of that. So now it's $40 after 6 months. And when you finally get down to like you're only paying $5 and $10, the year is over. And guess what happens at the beginning of the year? Back to the $100.
Wow. Well, okay. Well, here's a good one. Let's go ahead and see if we can try to steer this a little more positive, or at least we want to. The goal of what I'm trying to do here is to educate people, inform people that if you are one of the millions of people suffering with healthcare, that you're not alone. There are people, regular working class people like myself and Sylvia, who are going through this. So we're here to talk about ways that are good for everyone, and to talk about our struggle, let you know that if we come together, we can fix these problems together. So what is one thing that you would do to change the healthcare system? I know I think all sides of the political aisle say it's broken. I think everyone agrees, but no one either has the energy to implement a real strategy, or they just don't care. But as someone who is involved in it on a daily basis, looking at it from the inside, which you are, what is one thing that you would do to help fix the healthcare system?
I mean, if I had a choice, I would make universal health care for everyone. That means that no matter what your sickness is, no matter what your pay grade is, everyone will get the best insurance. Universal, everyone gets the best. It's not like your insurance is better, so you're going to be covered. I will cover everyone. And what I also would do is I will have someone to help you decipher the system. And I don't want to make it seem like it's all bad. I mean, it did provoke me to anger, and I'm not just on the sidelines saying, woe is me. I took a community healthcare worker class because it pissed me off, and I was like, look, I'm going to start a change. And I found out that there are other community healthcare workers out there. These are the people that are like, live in your neighborhood, they understand your struggle and go through your struggle. They help you find out where the help is. So if I could change one thing, I would make every doctor's office, every community health service, that they should have community workers. Everyone on disability will get a helper to show you how to work the system, a specialist, someone who knows the system. And so that's what I did. I took the class, I became an advocate, and I went and we did the march in Jefferson City, advocating rights for people that are sick, making our governors responsible, the people that we voted for. We went down to the Capitol because we want you to know this is what's going on. We are here. We have a voice. What are you doing about it? And they didn't appreciate it. A lot of them didn't come out, you know. A lot of them were like stayed in their office, but they could hear us. We went down there and did something. So I was like, I'm going to do something because you may give me a hard time. I may not be able to go to the doctors that I need to go to, but what you will never do is take my voice or my right to speak or my right to help other people. And so that's what I'm doing. To make my situation better, I became a community healthcare worker so that I can help other people, no matter who you are, to decipher the system.
Wow, I found that very powerful. I want to dissect a couple points of those. Just so everyone knows, we don't go over these questions beforehand. I have the questions that I've written down, and she's basically answering these questions as we go, so I never exactly know what I'm gonna get. And I thought that was very powerful for a couple reasons. One, Sylvia has done what I want to do throughout this channel just to encourage people to take action. She's tired of the way that her government works, the way that life is treating her. So she's taken action. She became an advocate. She took the time. She joined a group. She drove down to where her governmental officials are. She rallied, marched, and protested. And you never know if that's going to spark a change or not, or apply pressure to our political system. But here's the fact: not doing that will absolutely do nothing. You may have an impact raising your voice, but you will have zero impact if you don't at least try. So she's applying pressure on her officials, and that's how she sparks change where she lives, which is the only way that things get done. And which I said is the core of what I put this channel together for, is for a lot of people who can't talk on their own, who no one's listening to, can come together, have a unifying voice and a message on how to make a change in their own community. And I had no idea that she was going to say that, but that totally links up to the definition of what this channel is about. So I think that's fantastic. As she also indicated, I am a huge proponent of single-payer universal health care. I didn't know she was going to say that either, but I believe that is the one answer. I thought she was going to say something different, maybe lower costs or something else, but she went exactly to where my point is. So you don't have to share my values to be on this program, but it helps. So that's some inside information as far as how the fight is going for healthcare, at least for Sylvia's own personal fight. And I believe that this is a fight that affects millions and millions of people. I think that you shouldn't be ashamed. This is a lot of people. This goes back into blame the victim mentality. When you're sick or you're injured, like there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with your system. You shouldn't be ashamed that you can't afford your medicine, because your medicine's too damn expensive. It's not your fault. You shouldn't be ashamed that you're sick. You shouldn't be ashamed that you're tired. The system is broken. You're not broken. The system is broken. So I'm going to go ahead and end this interview here with Sylvia. And I want you to take a little time to think about that. I definitely want to say, if you have information you want to add, if you're on Medicare, if you have insurance, let's say you have bomb insurance, I'd like to know about that. Whatever your individual experience is, I'd like to know about it so we can compare and show exactly, is Sylvia a special case, or is she atypical to the way that insurance works today? Well, I definitely want to thank you for actually coming on the show. You got any thoughts for the people?
My thought is, never give up. It's never hopeless. No, you're not alone. Together we have power.
Right on. All right. I'm Matthew. I'm from Midwest to Gotham. This is
Sylvia. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for watching the show. Love you. Hey, I want to thank you guys for watching that. It took a while to get Sylvia back on the show. She had a lot of healthcare issues and just scheduling, but I think it was a very powerful interview. Hopefully a lot of people could actually relate to what she had to say. I know more than a few people are affected by healthcare issues, and some people may be a little not want to be forthcoming with that information, which is, it's a private issue, but I'm glad that she took the time to do that. If you're suffering from something as well, just feel like you are supported. There are people who are going through the same struggle, and there are other people like myself and Sylvia who care. So if you want to share your thoughts, I appreciate you doing so in the comments. If you enjoyed the show, I do appreciate you adding a like. The more likes we have, the more YouTube shares this video content. And the whole point of starting a community is so other people can see it. So the more people...